Hello, and welcome to our Office Hour webinar today. As we're waiting for a few more people to join us as we get started, open up that question box in the control panel and share with us where you're joining from today. So I am joining today from Oklahoma, middle of the country, where it's currently raining, a cold rain. Let's see where you're joining from today. So it looks like we have Eastern Washington University, we have Indiana, Texas, welcome. It's actually not snowing for a minute in Washington. That's great. We have North Carolina, Wyoming. Thanks for joining us. Karen, Elizabeth, Laura, Edward, so glad you're here today. Massachusetts, Alabama, lots of people, North Dakota, Alabama. Thank y'all for joining us today. Julie in Oklahoma, not too far from you there. I know we have team members joining us from around the United States as well. Some in Illinois, some in Florida. Let's see, Denise from North Carolina, welcome. Judith from Tennessee, so glad you're here today. We'll give everyone about 3 more minutes to join, and then we'll get started. So if you're just signing on, open up that question box that's located in your control panel and just share with that box where you're joining us from today. We'll also use this box a couple of times in our webinar to communicate and interact with each other. So I want to make sure that you know where that question box is. Looks like California, some Tennessee. Great, more Texas. Oh, Lacey's saying Amarillo, it was 78 yesterday and 50 today. Wow, yep. Big change in the weather. Nebraska, more Oklahoma, more Texas, more Kentucky, more Alabama. So good to see y'all. Yolanda from Illinois. Let's see, Michael from West Virginia. Diane from North Carolina, welcome. A third person from El Paso. El Paso is really showing up today. Hi, Nicole from Florida, glad you're here. If you're just joining us, because we've had like 40 people join in the last minute, open up that control panel and in the question box, just share with us where you're joining from today. I'm coming to you from Oklahoma, kind of the center of the country. This is always my favorite part. Oh, another Tulsa, Oklahoma. Welcome, Jesse. Lots of Oklahomans on the call today, lots of Texans on the call today. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. Some more North Carolina, another El Paso, Texas. Claudia, thanks for joining us. Washington State, thanks for joining us. Nikki, glad you're here. If you are just signing on, I know I keep repeating this, open up that question box that's located in your control panel and type in that question box where you're joining us from today. We'd love to see where everyone's joining from. This is my favorite part of the webinar. Nathan's from Ohio, thanks for joining us. Glad y'all took time today to join us for the super quick 30-minute professional development webinar. Pennsylvania, Marcy from Alabama, we have Arizona, Nebraska, another one from Oklahoma, Northeast North Carolina. Hello, William. I'll be in Northeast North Carolina in a few weeks. Alabama, Nevada, Missouri. So many people. I think we have a lot of the states represented today. This is exciting. We'll give everybody about 1 more minute to get started. Kansas, hi, Diane. Florida, more Georgia. So glad y'all joined us today. All right, so it is 2:01, so we're gonna get started. Because if y'all know me, you know I like to start on time. So first of all, welcome to Cultivating a Growth Mindset. As you know, these sessions may be unlike any other professional development webinar you've ever attended. It's a highly interactive webinar that really relies on participant interaction to be successful. So be ready to either open a new tab in the browser that you're using, grab your smartphone to scan a QR code, and participate in lots of polls and surveys. You ready? Okay, good. Here we go. First, when you think about growth mindset and the term growth mindset, what is that? So you're going to scan that QR code, or you can click on the link that will be in the chat box momentarily, and just share with us, what is your definition of growth mindset? What is growth mindset? So you've either grabbed your smartphone so that you can scan the QR code, or that link is in the chat. Once you're there, it's a tool called Mentimeter. There's going to be a box. Just type your response in that box and then hit the submit. And then let's see what our definitions are. So I'll give it just a couple more seconds because we have about 100 people on the call. So grab your smartphone, scan that QR code, click the link in the chat. Tell us how you define growth mindset. What is a growth mindset? Are y'all ready to see what other people have responded with? Good. Me too. Let's see. There we go. So like I said, the tool is Mentimeter. I use it very frequently because it has different response types. We're using the open-ended response type today that allows you to anonymously submit your definition of growth mindset. We'll give it just a second to load. This is when my students would be like, wait for it, Miss Green, wait for it, it's coming up. Because I might have hit the button a few times. There we go. So what is the growth mindset to us as a group today? So as you can see, being willing to adapt to the needs of individuals while continuing to move towards a common goal, elements of success, being open to feedback, believing that I can learn and failure is something as an opportunity to learn, being in the state of mind of always learning, moving forward, an attitude that looks forward to growing as a human, beliefs and expectations where you're just starting to grow, willingness to continue to develop, being open to new possibilities, knowing that you can succeed even when you fail, the eagerness to continue growing, continue to learn, thinking towards expanding the ideas. Have y'all been reading my notes for today's webinar? Are you noticing a few themes? Okay, great. So we're going to take this information and we're going to keep adding to it. If you've been to these webinars, you know that they are highly interactive, but we also take concepts and start to build upon them. So we're going to take some of this as our definition. So this is kind of our collective definition of growth mindset that we'll use for today. And then we'll start layering on some research and some implications for the classroom. So like I said, welcome to the webinar. We are very glad you're here today. So my name is Mandy Green. I am a National Content Specialist at Goodheart-Willcox Publishing Company. Been a classroom teacher, worked in different departments on the district level, did some research at a university, but today we're going to define growth mindset, which we just started working on with that first activity. We're going to look at some research, and then we're going to look at some implications for the classroom. So the next instructional strategy, always, sometimes, never. So we're going to look at some statements that actually talk about growth mindset. Then, as we read them, I want you to decide, is that statement always true, sometimes true, or never true? So you're going to put your response in that question box where you just told us where you were joining from today. Always, sometimes, or never. And you can even abbreviate it A, S, or N. You ready? Let's try the first one. Mindset describes habits of our mind that are shaped by previous experiences. Is that statement always true, sometimes true, or never true? Open up that question box and share with us your response. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of S's, a lot of sometimes, sometimes, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes true is just floating, and there's a couple always. It looks like our group believes it's sometimes. People believe their basic abilities can be developed by dedication and hard work. The willingness to continue to learn. Okay. So it looks like people believe overall that statement is sometimes true. Let's try another one. Mindsets can become self-perpetuating ways of ordering and anticipating our experiences and interactions. Is that statement always, sometimes, or never true? And if you want to tell me why you selected your response, that's great too. All right, so I'm starting to see a lot of S's. Sometimes, oh, I see some always coming in. And if you want to share your rationale for your reason, we love to share that too. So this one's kind of split more evenly between always and sometimes. One says sometimes, most of the time. Yeah. Sometimes true, always true. So this one has the group a little more divided, it looks like. Almost always, but it would be nice to not to think like that. Yeah. Someone's asking where do I type the answers. It's in the control panel that has the orange box with the white arrow. Is your control panel, and you'll see the word questions in there, and you can just click on that to open that panel. A lot of this sometimes true because people do not learn from their experiences. Okay, let's try one more. Your mindset is fundamental to your life experience. Is that always, sometimes, or never true? And if you want to tell us why, feel free to. So this one's getting a lot of always statements. A lot of A's are coming in. There's a few sometimes for S's. So overall, it looks like our group is believing that this statement is always true. You get what you expect what you get. Yeah, your outlook on life and situations often drives this. It's always true if you don't choose to change that, okay? So do these statements look familiar to you? We have a textbook here at Goodheart-Willcox that's called Approaching College with Purpose. It has a chapter on mindset. All I did was take some main ideas, statements or sentences from parts of that chapter in the textbook, put them on a slide, and use the instructional strategy always, sometimes, never that you can also use in your classroom with any content. So there's another instructional strategy for you, showing you how it also relates to our growth mindset. All right, let's keep going. So we just talked about some statements and thought about if they're kind of always, sometimes, never true. So today I pulled some research from Carol Dweck, because she really applied her expert knowledge of these mindsets to outline some what was considered groundbreaking ideas on improving our lives by adopting a growth mindset. She really challenged some preconceived ideas that natural abilities and talents are essential tools for success. And basically, they came up with two different mindsets. The fixed, which is the belief that like your intelligence and the qualities that you're born with remain the same throughout your whole life. A lot of people that have a fixed mindset also kind of view failure as intolerable, not acceptable, and they spend much of their time trying to improve themselves. But they don't also really believe in that power effort. But let's look at the growth mindset, which is the opposite. This one really talks about like hard work, experience, growth, and development occur. This mindset also creates a desire to learn. And if you go back to thinking about the definitions that we did at the very beginning, there was a lot of comments about the desire to learn, continue learning. Growth mindset also sees failure as opportunity to learn. They also value taking risk. And if you think back to that first activity we did, a lot of your definitions dealt with those concepts of that growth mindset. So now we're going to take kind of three just main points from her research in her book called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And we're just going to talk about them for just a second. So the first one is a person's intelligence level can change over life. This is that whole like nature versus nurture debate, right? It's been going on forever. Recent studies have also suggested that the hereditary and environmental factors work together throughout our lives to make us who we are. Although people do start with certain natural strengths, sometimes the amount of training, practice, and the effort they dedicate to a certain skill can have a major impact on their ability to become experts in that area. There's also this main point of fixed mindsets prevent growth, right? So usually they think like their ability is really set in stone. There's also some suggestions that these people in life are who are naturally talented, and then there's those who are totally incompetent. Those with a fixed mindset also believe that those lacking talent will never develop those talents. And sometimes those natural talents will never lose their skills. A lot of times the fixed mindset also talked about being, everything's about the outcome. So if you fail, then you aren't the best and everything was wasted. But let's look at another perspective. Growth mindset encourages development. One really interesting study, since we're all educators, she used this example of like curious students. So students with a growth mindset might have been given like a really difficult problem, maybe a math problem at school, and they rose to the occasion and were great at it. So then they went home and they wanted to do more challenging math problems, because what they understand is those with a growth mindset really understand that when we learn more when we solve those problems. So let's think about that for a second. Let's think about some of these examples of the fixed mindset, the growth mindset, and let's learn from each other right now. We're going to learn with and from each other. So once again, you're going to kind of scan the QR code, or you can click on that link that will be in the chat momentarily. It's going to take you to a site called Padlet. When you get to this Padlet, it's going to have 3 columns. The first column says, it says. So tell me what some of that research says. You can go with the 3 statements that we talked about today very briefly. You can pull some research that you've read on growth mindset. What does the research say about growth mindset? In the second column, you're going to click the plus sign. So what does that mean to you as a person? So what do you say? I say whatever about growth mindset. And then the last column says so. So how does this apply to you as an educator? Tell us about some implications it has for you as an educator and maybe in your classroom or your shop. So once again, scan the QR code or click on the link in the chat. And then you'll go to the Padlet where there are 3 prompts. So ideally, I would love for you to fill out all 3 prompts by clicking on the plus sign in each column. And let's see what everyone has to say about what is growth mindset? How does research define it? What do we say it is? What implications does it have on us as educators? Let's see what we have. All right, I'm gonna close some tabs because I clicked a lot earlier. Let's see what you're saying about growth mindset. So, wow, we have so many responses in. So, like always, this is Padlet, is an ed tech tool. You can get 3 free Padlets. So it is a free program, but as always, check with your organization's IT department, make sure it's open for students, for you to use, interact. What's cool about it is up here, you can see the little bugs or aliens. So you can see how many people are actually working on this together. So we're collaborating together. So what does some of the research say about growth mindset? Students are more willing to gain knowledge if they take this mindset. People are more open, willing, flexible thinkers, problem solvers. Yes. Mindset is fundamental to your life experience. Determination equals improvement. Having a growth mindset can improve grit. Studies have revealed that growth mindset has positive effects on student motivation and academic performance. Awesome. So as you can see on your end, you can also scroll up and down to see all the responses. Growth mindset encourages development, encourages growth, preparation for future obstacles. Yes, these are all things of what research says, what it says. Now, what do you say about growth mindset? It makes you a better person. You have to desire to be better at reaching students. You're open to ideas and suggestions. Yes. Try to learn something new every day. Make you a better individual, open-minded. I have some control over growth. Different ways to support your students. Yes, we'll look at that in just a moment too. The desire to learn, to become better for yourself and students. Yes. Harder said than done. Yes. So you're seeing we have lots of input coming in. Difficulty and failure is a chance to improve, always. So what implications does this have on us as educators? Opens our mind to expand your discipline, yes. Being able to teach students to preserve and do their best and always learn and grow, absolutely. Teach students that they can do bigger things, yes. I need to model what I expect of my students. Yeah, that's great. Keep students engaged in increasing learning. Being able to teach in a positive way. Grit and growth are part of our mission. Oh, that's awesome. Share with students that failure can be positive. Yes. The whole idea of failing forward. It can keep my teaching skills new and reformed. Yes, because as educators, we're always striving to learn more and to be better. Helps me realize my students' potential. Yes. The past is not necessarily a prediction of the future. Absolutely. How powerful. So y'all just took all the research and kind of learned with and from each other in this activity called It Says, I Say So. We're going to keep moving on so I can get you out of here in 30 minutes. So we took the research and we talked about what it said after we kind of defined growth mindset ourselves. Then we said, this is how it relates to me. And then this is some implications it has on teaching. So let's take that implications on education and teaching a little bit further. So what does growth mindset maybe look like, feel like, and sound like in your classroom? So maybe thinking about, what does it look like? Does it look like using some diverse teaching strategies? Maybe it's thinking about how we deliver content, which processes we use, and what products we allow students to use. Regarding feels like, what does growth mindset feel like in the classroom? Does it provide space for opportunity? What about the idea of the power of yet? For example, when a student says, I'm not good at math, or I'm not good at reading blueprints, maybe I'm not good at math yet. Then, thinking about, what does this sound like in your classroom? What will you hear yourself as an educator saying? What might your students be saying? You might hear something like, the feeling you're experiencing of this math problem being hard is the feeling of your brain developing. Something like that. So I'll give you just a moment to kind of think about, what does the growth mindset look like, feel like, and sound like in your classroom? Because you are the expert educator in that room. And then y'all know what's coming next, right? If you've been here before. We're going to collaborate a little bit more together, because I love collaborating, learning with and from each other. So you're going to scan the QR code. I'm also going to put a link in that chat one more time. And you're going to share what growth mindset either looks like, feels like, or sounds like. You don't have to do all three this time. You can just pick one. You can pick two if you want. But make sure you use the sentence stem, growth mindset looks like, or growth mindset feels like, or growth mindset sounds like, when you enter your sentence into the net box. So that QR code and that link is going to take you back to a Mentimeter. You're going to have a box where you're going to type in your sentence. Tell me and everyone else, what does growth mindset either look like, feel like, or sound like in your classroom? Once again, this is a completely anonymous tool because we know anonymity increases engagement and collaboration. So your name will not be tied to it in any way. But let's look at our responses and kind of see what this actually looks like, feels like, sounds like in each of our classrooms. I'll give mine just a second. So once again, Mentimeter, it is a free ed tech tool. It has different response types, multiple choice, short answer, open-ended. You can do bar graphs, pie charts, all sorts of response types. As always, check with your organization to make sure it works on your network and it's open for students. So growth mindset feels like empowerment. It sounds like positive statements rather than negative ones. It looks like including reflection activities throughout the semester. It looks like students responding to feedback. These are awesome. Growth mindset looks like motivation to learn. It looks like your brain getting bigger and bigger. Yes. Looks like accepting to new ideas, is happy about a new idea, proclaims a good result from the change. Yes. Growth mindset sounds like the pathway to your career. Growth mindset is a goal and support unity. Growth mindset looks like out of the box thinking, willingness to try, finding workarounds when hitting the wall, continuing forward to end goals, but learning from the process. That's amazing. Growth mindset feels like forward progress and improvement. when you realize there is a risk that it won't work. Yes, it's all about taking risk as well. A growth mindset sounds like positivity and self-reflection and personal growth. It looks like mistakes acceptable in math. Absolutely. Absolutely. Growth mindset looks like I'm going crazy or maybe turning into a mime, but we all get excited and cheer when someone does something good. Absolutely. Growth mindset feels like a safe place for students to learn from their own ideas and mistakes. Absolutely. So hopefully, as you have these links, if you want to continue to have access to any of the online tools that we did today with the responses, just hit that either the star if you're on a Chrome browser to save it to your favorites, or save it to your bookmark bar, and then you can still access those for a while. Yes, so this is what growth mindset can look like, feel like, and sound like in our own classrooms. All right, so remember the question box that we used twice so far today? We're going to open it up again. If I were to ask you, what 2 questions do you still have about growth mindset? What would they be? Well, let's open up the chat box, not the chat box, the question box, and share with each other what are some questions that you have about growth mindset. So as we start to kind of pull all this together through our very fast and furious 30-minute professional development webinar, we're going to start kind of reflecting. So we have some questions starting to come in. So your 2 questions, let's see what some of them are. What is growth mindset to you? How to implement in the classroom? What is your definition? The best ways to engage a diverse classroom? How can I overcome strictly fixed mindsets in students or my organization? I feel like that's a very common one I hear when I travel around working with instructors and educators, is overcoming that systemic mindset. Absolutely. Let's see what other questions we have coming in. How do I affect growth mindset set in others? Whoa, they're flying in. How can I start applying this with non-traditional students in the classroom? What are some tools we can use to help students improve in this? How can I help students who have severe anxiety build a growth mindset? So I hope you are starting to see that we're kind of all on the same page, right? Like, we want our students to have this growth mindset. We can see some how it will impact our students, how it'll impact them as learners, how to change the mindset in the clinical setting. How can we help students increase their growth mindset? How do I engage my students? Yes. So starting small. So we're about to review all the strategies, and I'll talk a little bit more about putting this in your classroom at that point as well. But it seems like as educators and instructors, we're all wanting the same thing, right? Overcoming those fixed mindsets, helping others with the growth mindset in that academic setting as well, helping our students become more successful by activating a growth mindset. Okay, here's my next question for you. What is one way you will add any of this growth mindset research, or any that you've read on your own, into your classroom? Type that in the question box. What's one way you can add growth mindset research to your classroom? And like always, it can be other research on growth mindset you've read. It doesn't have to be Carol Dweck's. I love growth mindset because it's kind of the land of possibilities. Yes, some are going to present teachers at PD with the growth mindset research. That's a great way to start the conversation. Have students summarize the goal at the end of the year. Absolutely. Have students even chart their progress. If you pre-test and post-test with different lessons, that can help build that growth mindset. Using a short GM video to my students. Yes, there are several different programs that have some growth mindset videos for students. I mean, from elementary all the way to adults. Using some of these ideas in their classroom, right? Trying to make a safe, non-judgmental environment in our classrooms. Absolutely. Using the words yet, when, yes, that's exactly right. Sometimes just changing the words we use can have a big difference in how the message is perceived. Make students set goals and check themselves on those. Absolutely. There's a lot of research too with self-reported grades and that goal setting idea with John Hattie and increasing student achievement. It's a great place to start. Absolutely. All right, tell students you believe in them. They need to trust you, right? It's all about relationships. Yep, and that will help them be successful. Absolutely. All right, let's go to the next one. Here's where we're gonna start to wrap up our resources. So not only did we very briefly discuss growth mindset, I mean, we just barely got into the research on growth mindset, but hopefully you'll start a conversation or spark interest that you'll do some more reading. But we also have some instructional strategies that can be used in any classroom. So we use Mentimeter and Padlet as our ed tech tools today. We had that bell ringer, which is where I asked you the question, what is growth mindset? We did the always, sometimes, never instructional strategy. We then took the research and said, what does the research say? What do I say about this? And so what is implications that have on me as an educator? Then we took that educator piece and thought, okay, so what does this actually look like, feel like, and sound like in my classroom? And then we just kind of use that 2-star and a wish strategy as just a reflection. What questions are we still wondering about? And what's one goal that we have for ourselves? So the 2 stars and a wish is just your questions and your goals. The strategies came from the K20 Learn site. That's from the University of Oklahoma, a research institution. The beginning activity came from our textbook, Approaching College with Purpose, with a chapter on growth mindset. And a lot of our research today came from Carol Dweck with her book called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. Also, as some reminders as we start to wrap up here, there is a blank certificate of attendance in the handout section of your control panel that you can click on and download right now. Also, within 24 hours, you'll receive a recording and a certificate of attendance, which with the email that you signed up for the webinar with. Don't forget to check your spam folders. A lot of the time, GoToWebinar automated emails will go to your spam folder, so check that as well, the junk spam folder. And then don't forget, we do have an evaluation at the end of this that we would love for you to fill out because we're always striving to be better and to meet your needs. Also, as a reminder, if you like this super fast-paced PD, it's offered every first and third Tuesday of the month at 2 p.m. Central, and it's always recorded and placed on our PD website for future viewing. But we do have other PD opportunities for in-person and virtual on various topics. So scan the QR code, take a picture of this slide. That website has all of our PD resources. If you're interested in more professional development, we're always happy to chat with you about that. And with that, I am going to say thank you for joining us. It is exactly 2:30. If you have questions, I will stay on for 1 or 2 more moments to answer some questions. But if you have to go, we appreciate it. Have a super afternoon. Some questions. Are we getting CTEs for these? I'm not sure what CTEs are, but you are getting a certificate of attendance that has the date, time, and the title of this session. Can we see the slides with the research? Yes, we can put that back up. There you go. I think those are the questions. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the box. I see lots of thank yous coming up. Thank you so much for attending. We really hope you got something out of the really fast-paced 30 minutes. Could you please send us an email for our attendance? Whatever email you signed up with, GoToWebinar automates that response for you, and we'll send it for you. Thanks for this webinar. Thanks for being here. No worries being late. All right, so I'm gonna put my email address up there one more time. If you have questions, feel free to email me. I am more than happy to respond back to you. We hope you had a super learning experience. And with that, there's the PD QR code right there. I got that one. Will we get emails for the next one? Probably however you learned about this one is how you'll learn about the next one. They do send out an email. If you're not on that list, feel free to email me and I'll see if I can get you on that list, or make sure that you at least receive it, Bill. We're happy to. So my email is mgreen@g-w.com. And that's it, I think. So have a great afternoon, and we'll see y'all soon.